Hello?
Hi, Escalante. It's Rob and Slim from the Rob and Slim
Hi.
Show.
How you doing, Rob? How you doing, Rob?
Good, good. Yes, Rob and Slim's
What's going
here.
on, Escalante?
How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well. I'm doing very well.
Good, good. Yeah, you're an actor. You're best known for Big Fred and Django Unchained. And I think
Hmm.
the last time we talked to you, it was we talked to you about that, and we also talked to you about Attack of the Southern Fried Zombies. So
Yes.
that was really cool. And what I wanted to talk to you tonight was about your upcoming project called Cry for Help.
Yes, sir. Yes, it's
Well,
a little different from previous projects.
yeah.
And this one I'm actually co-producing, so I have a little more control of the direction of the project. So it's a new twist for me.
And it's a documentary about the criminal justice system in the U.S., correct?
Yes, well, it's two things. Number one, yes, it's a short film, which me and my co-producer, Shanna Forstall, came to me with the idea about 3 months ago about a gentleman in the South, 60s, a black gentleman. He's going to work one night, sees a white couple have an altercation. Husband is basically abusing his wife. He intervenes to stop the abuse, and him and the husband get in I guess, an argument and start tussling, and then within that fight, something happens. The husband accidentally falls and hits his head, and he dies. And a black gentleman, is charged with murder. Then there's a neighbor that sees the whole episode, um, that sees the whole thing, but she refuses to tell the authorities, what really
Mm,
happened.
yeah.
Then after he's on death row, uh, charged with dying by electrocution. And then the day before he's scheduled to be electrocuted, she comes to him and asks for forgiveness. And that's basically where the story starts. Because, what do you do if you was either or in that situation? And from that, we realized that we neither one of us have any criminal justice experience, either, being incarcerated or being judge, prosecutor, defense attorney, uh, corrections officer, policeman, anything. Neither one of us had any experience, so we decided to talk to people who did have experience, and then one person led to another, led to another, led to another, and we videotaped everything so we have it to go back on, and we realized, all these testimonies, all these points of views, all this information that the general public never hears. So we decided to take all this that is continuous to grow. We've interviewed at least 20 people so far, and we have many more to go. We decided to take that and make a documentary out of it. So that's how the
Wow.
documentary grew. The initial. It wasn't part of the initial film project. It just was, I guess, collateral information that
Hmm.
developed as we tried to do research about the film project that we were doing.
Yeah, that's something that's come of it, and it's just something I feel like is great to make people aware of.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of things that goes on, and if you're not astute legally, and you get in a situation with the criminal justice system, there could be some things that could happen to you that you are not aware of, and there could be some recourse that you can take. You just don't know it because
Ah.
most people do not have a law degree. So
I just want to say, just in general, just of the profiling thing goes, just from being in my 20s getting pulled over to being in my 40s getting pulled over, it's completely different. Cops talk to me with a lot more respect now. Like, I've never been rude when I've gotten pulled over, but yeah, cops they talk to you way differently
Oh.
as an older gentleman than when you're younger. I remember back in the day, it was like, "What are you doing in this part of town? Why are you here? Like, what are you up to?" Where now it's like, You didn't use turn signal, or you rolled a little far through that stop sign. It's totally different. Totally
Excuse
different.
me, sir. Sorry to bother you,
Yeah.
but you forgot to turn your turn signal on.
And I not knock on whatever, but as an older gentleman, I've gotten warnings.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
As a
yep.
younger gentleman, I got
Tickets.
Tickets.
Yeah,
for going
I've
like
had the same experience.
4 or 5 over. Honestly, at some points, but yeah, now they do talk to me like completely different. Like it's definitely something I've noticed.
And then another thing, maybe the person, because I guess people assume as you get older, you're wiser and there's a stronger respect for older person. And some actually depends on the officer too. They may realize for this person, I may not can handle a certain way, maybe not can bully a certain way or intimidate somebody who was 20, 23 years younger.
Yeah.
So it depends on the attitude or disposition of the cops. Some policemen, I've had some policemen extremely professional, and have some that seemed like they were trying to get off on bullying you and to see your response. So a lot of times it depends on who approaches you.
Also on my end though, I remember being much more nervous younger. Like now I'm just not as nervous. So that could be part of it too. I don't know, but it's definitely something to be said. And some said for like you mentioned like a younger cop maybe just trying to get
make a name for
himself or get some accolades.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's the whole spectrum. Because you have two human beings together and you have no idea who brings what history with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on their mood. Could have had a bad day with the wife, could have had a previous altercation with another person, and still carrying that with them, either side. So sometimes you have no idea.
Yeah.
What each person is bringing to the mix.
Agreed. What did you
I was just going to say so obviously I'm not a police officer, so I don't really know, but I'm just assuming that if you are a police officer, there's a lot of fucking laws out there, and chances are you probably didn't study every single one of those laws. But you are going to have those days where you're just like, I don't like what that person's doing. I'm going to give them a ticket for that. And, like, you might be in the wrong because you don't know all the laws. But, like, it's really possible to know all that. You kind of know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you definitely would make a lot of mistakes. And I kind of like, because kind of what you were saying is that if you don't know the law as somebody that's being arrested, that you might be getting arrested for something that legally you can't be arrested for. But it's got to be the same for the cop as well, where he might not really know all the laws and just like not like something you're doing and is just like, yeah, I get arrested for
like
that.
You said, carry something from another point in the
day.
Yeah, sometimes in some cases I've had situations with police officers, and it turned out like a couple of days ago I was driving a rental car and I didn't necessarily know the lights weren't on because it's not my car, so I thought the light was on, but it had 50 million different options, and the lights weren't on, and he stopped me and he pulled me over and he gave me a warning, just wanted to make sure I wasn't drinking. But if it was another cop, could have been in a bad mood, I could have arrested me. So I was endangering the safety of others.
Yeah.
So it depends. A lot of times depends on who you get, and it's that's the thing. Every situation is different, and I would hate to put everybody in the same bag or group, whether you're a cop or a judge or attorney. It's just that the more that you are aware of your rights, and when they realize that you have some education about your rights, they may back off a little bit if their intent is to intimidate or bully.
Right.
Gotcha. I wanted to ask too, Escalante, what is the scariest thing you've learned from making the film?
Well, the worst, I guess, scariest. Let me give me an example. I've interviewed several gentlemen who were exonerated for crimes they didn't commit. And one particular gentleman spent 27 years in jail, and later on he was exonerated because it was obvious he wasn't a person that committed the crime. Another gentleman spent 12 years in jail for they found actually had the person that did the crime. They arrested him first, and then they found the person that actually did it, and they still arrested him and lumped him with the other person. And in both cases, and it's the scariest thing is, like I say, if you don't have proper representation, and the poorer you are, the more likely if something happens, there's going to be a negative effect on you. And it's a shame that people, just because they don't have a lot of money, they don't have as much right. They don't have as much rights, and they don't have an opportunity to have, quality representation. Just because they don't have enough money. A lot of people are in jail because they're poor. They can't pay a ticket. And they get thrown in jail because they can't pay a ticket, or they can't bail themselves out, and they get sit in jail for months before they even go to trial. Then you lose your job. If you have a house, you have a car, you have a family. It's just that it seems lately in this country, money is so much an overwhelming factor in your ability to get full justice. And I think that I don't think that's right, because everybody's not going to be upper middle class or rich or even middle class. You're just not.
No.
So I believe that everybody should have the same rights in this country, even if their financial situation is not always the same.
Yeah. Even Slim before the show was mentioning just like, the prisons, that's a business. It really is.
You just made me. You just reminded me of something when I was a kid. I had gotten pulled over for reckless driving or whatever, and I went to court and everything. And it was my first ticket I've ever gotten. And I think I had to pay the court $50. I didn't have the money, so they told me that I could not leave until I came up with the money.
That's one thing
so
they do as well, yeah.
I had to just sit in this courtroom calling people until finally I got a hold of a family friend that came and paid for the court fees or.
And just like you said, Escalante, with representation, I remember I did have something where I think marijuana was involved, and my family had a friend who was a lawyer, and then this lawyer told me that I could ask for something called a conditional discharge. It was the first time that charge was brought to you, you could just get off. And I wouldn't have known that unless this lawyer of many years had told me that. It is crazy. The stuff, if you know, you can get, but if you don't, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get that.
Exactly. What if you didn't have, like I said, what if you didn't have the $50?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be in jail now?
I was just gonna. I guess I would have just been in jail. They weren't gonna let me leave the courthouse.
I had that once too, and it was 150, and I was no, I cannot get this today, so I'm gonna have to make payments, and they did. They worked out a payment.
Oh, okay. With me, they were just you can't leave.
I was 2 or 3 times of going to the window where I couldn't get anybody. What am I supposed to do right now? It is. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's the problem. The criminal justice system has become a debtor's jail. With these private prisons. One of the young men I was interviewing, and he had been in and out of jail. And he wasn't trying to make any excuse, but he was saying that he was telling me a story about the city of Seattle. I think he said it was Seattle. Don't quote me on that. They had a contract with a private prison to have so many people guests in their prisons, and Seattle, for whatever reason, didn't have enough people to arrest, and the private prison sued Seattle and won. So they had to go out and arrest people. Wow. So why would you write a contract? Why would you go in a financial contract with somebody where you have to provide your citizens have to be jailed?
Right?
Why would you do that? Of all the ways to make money, why would you use human beings
Yeah.
as captured human beings as a way to make money for your city, the people you actually are supposed to be serving and protecting.
What is a
You know
private
that
prison, Escalante? I didn't know there were different types of prisons.
yeah, that's your private prisons. Yeah, there's prisons, they're private prisons. This is money.
Do,
Money's involved. Where
do
you have a contract with the city. The city provides so many prisoners, and then they pay the city a certain amount of money, and they get paid for having beds filled with it.
wow.
I had friends that work with the sheriff department, and they get paid so much amount of money for the number of beds and the time that the people are in there. So their incentive is to keep you in there as long as they can. So
Wow.
that's how they make their money. And
So
if you
that's-
look, and then we did one last thing I want to say. We did was investigating, if you can just Google the amount of money states pay for education in prisons, and we had one for 40 states, and every single one they paid more money for prisons than education. Every
Wow.
single one, wasn't even close.
Wow.
So you're saying that
Yeah.
there's these prisons that are just arresting people because they have to reach a certain quota, pretty much.
But I was gonna say too. Do they adhere to the same laws that the other prisons, like as a private prison?
So I don't know about the prisons don't actually do arresting. I guess who's charge of municipality or state does the arresting. But when you get arrested, the DA charges you, and then the judge, is up to the judge to administer the punishment. If you notice, over the last 5 years, there have been several judges they've been arrested because they got caught overcharging people.
What?
And there've been several judges that actually got arrested for overcharging people because they were getting kickbacks from these private prisons.
Oh wow.
Oh my
I met a young lady in Shreveport, Louisiana. She had a boyfriend. She had 3 kids for him, and the youngest one was 1, and he left her basically with the 3 kids. So she didn't have any money. So she used a credit card fraudulently, spent $800. Mostly was food. She got caught. They charged her 6 years and a $10,000 fine
Wow.
for $800 to feed her family.
Wow.
So, and she served 30 months of that. I interviewed her about 2 weeks ago. So, and now she can't get a job. She basically have to do, jobs where people pay cash.
Yeah.
So it's a young woman. She's still, I think she's like 40 now. She still have 3 kids, but anybody could. I mean, if I had to feed my family, either starve or use somebody's credit card to feed them, how many people would say, no, I'm gonna have integrity. I'm gonna let my family starve.
Yeah. And then have to serve over 2 years, like, because of it. That's a lot of time.
That's, and the fine, and for $800, the first offense. It's our first offense.
And just the trauma on the children right there. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot in that picture. Wow. Just like you mentioning earlier, 12 years, 27 years. That's like decade. Like, wow.
27 years for a crime he didn't commit. The young man was gone. He was 17. He got out when he was 44. He was older now. He's probably almost 60 now. But he wanted to be a fireman. So now, not only did he not get that, but think about it. He missed out on having a wife,
Yeah.
kids, grandkids. Now, so it's not just one person. It's the other. It's this potential that you're eliminating, and it's the people, his parents. If you had a child that was 17 that was sentenced to 27 years in jail for a crime he didn't commit, and siblings. So it's the collateral human damage that it causes. And then when some of these district attorneys, they know that this person is innocent. They know they don't have a case, but because the system, and in some cases, I'm not going to say all of them, in some cases is corrupt, and it's driven by greed, and the people who can defend themselves the least are the ones that usually fall subject to this oppressive behavior.
They pay the most, yeah. Escalante, when is the film out? Is it available right now?
No, not yet. We shoot the film in March. We start in mid-March. It's for the Louisiana Film Prize, which will be in Shreveport. It's one of the few film festivals that actually have a cash prize. If you win first place, it's $50,000, and it's a short film. It's only 10 minutes film.
Okay.
And so we'll be shooting that in March, and the film premieres in, I think, October of this year. And then the documentary will be ongoing. Depends on how much money we raise, because it's very expensive. Whenever we have to travel and meet people and buy food and housing, and you have to go to. I've so far I've been to not only New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Houston, Dallas, Shreveport, and Atlanta, interviewing people. And now once we finish shooting this film next month, and then April we'll get back on it. Probably go to a few cities that some high profile cases of people that were wrongly incarcerated, and then also talking to other people who are ex-judges, cops, attorneys, social workers that worked for different municipalities and different prisons. So right now we're in the pre-prep phase for the film and the fundraising phase for the documentary.
Awesome.
I'm curious, Escalante, in level of enjoyment, do you think doing this documentary has been more enjoyable than acting, or do you like acting more? Like, where has your preference fallen?
Acting probably is it's probably the passion, because I enjoy acting.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder. Acting is the hardest thing I've done in my life, but I enjoy it. The actual doing of it. This thing is something it's more, but the documentary has become more of a calling, because it wasn't something planned, and then once it started, you just couldn't let it go, because once you see something that is wrong, that you feel is wrong, it depends on what type of conscience you have, and if you want to do something about it.
And is it worth going after? And I feel like this is definitely something worth going after.
Yeah, because it's so many people, and like I say, it's been growing because people have been trying to contact me, because there are a lot of people that have been wronged. They feel they've been wronged, and they had no platform to speak out on it. And I think this is, I guess, a small degree of catharticism for them to actually say their piece. And hopefully, if once we finish, and hopefully it'll get a mouthpiece for those who participated, but also maybe it'll give some information to those families that maybe we ought to have more legal education for our family, or some kid who's on the fence of whether he should do something illegal or whether he should stay in school. Maybe it may give them, help them make a better decision. Because I remember when I was young, the only thing that I saw that was anything related to this was this documentary called Scared Straight.
Scared Straight, yes.
And
Oh,
that thing,
gosh.
I still remember.
I
remember the tossed salad man, and man, I said I never want to go to jail.
Never. I remember in, I don't know if it was late 90s or early 2000s, they tried to make another Scared Straight, but it was not as scaringly straight as the original Scared Straight.
They
the
try to
original.
sanitize it. No, you can't sanitize this thing. This thing is what it is. So
Yes.
yeah, that was that. I remember that to this day. And I say, and there's been time when I was young, I didn't have any money. You think about doing something that you shouldn't do. I never actually did it, but it'll cross your mind if you get, depends on how financially strained you'll get. But some people did.
Yeah.
And some of them got caught. And I'm sure most of them regret it. But,
yeah,
this may help keep some kids out of trouble. This may help a family better plan if they get in a situation. How do we handle it? Because if you don't know, you don't know. But if you do know, at least you have better options. You can make better choices.
Yeah.
So this is like your modern and I guess maybe more politically correct version of Scared Straight.
Or yeah.
Yeah. The difference is the people probably did that documentary had worked on it probably for years and had a lot. I don't have that time and that money to do years, but basically what I'm doing is, because in the documentary you won't even hear my voice. Because in the editing, I cut out my voice. I just want those who are speaking to speak. But this is probably, I'm just giving a point of view of other people who have experience, because I don't, and I'm not qualified to tell people what to do. But I can present a platform for those who can tell you what to expect and what you can do maybe to make a better decision. So That's my part in it.
Yeah, so instead of where Scared Straight was more like, hey, this is what's going to happen if you fuck up, your documentary is more like, this is how you don't fuck up. This is like what you can do so you don't fuck up.
Or you don't get.
Mistreated. This is more like, okay, these are people who've been in trouble, and these are people that work on the other side, the legal side, and they're telling you if, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. But this isn't a documentary necessarily about the prison system as far as the physical prison. This is a documentary about the criminal justice system,
right?
And what are all the different aspects of it, from people who actually have firsthand. Now, because I can't tell you what it's like to be a judge or a defense attorney or a prosecuting attorney or a formerly incarcerated person, but they can.
Yeah.
They can tell you exactly what their experiences are, and maybe it can touch some people in a way where they could just make better choices if the opportunity came up where they had to be in that position they had to make a choice.
Nice. Escalante, thank you so much for talking to us. I can't believe the time's gone this fast, but it's great talking to you, and it's great talking to you about this project.
Thank you. Can I say one thing?
Yes.
If anybody's interested in finding out more about it, they can go to cryforhelpfilm.com, and that's the number 4. Cry, the number 4, helpfilm.com. If you can get information about the film, and if you want to contribute financially, 5, 10, 100, whatever you have, we would greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. Yes, I was going to ask if anybody could still support this project. That's
great. Yeah. We'll be doing a documentary through the end of the summer, so it's cry, the number 4, helpfilm.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Escalante.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Have a good one, my friend.
Oh, you too. Have a good night.
You too.